Hello, JBS viewers. I'm David Harris, and this is Defending Israel. We have another very special guest. I thought it was extremely important in the wake of the October 7th invasion by Hamas to invite a Holocaust survivor, someone I've known for several years, to come to the studio and to offer her perspective, not just on her own Holocaust experience, which is powerful and poignant, but also on how she sees the world as Israel is vilified by many and as anti-Semitism surges in the United States and around the world. My guest is Toby Levy. Toby, welcome to JBS.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Toby, you've spoken in many places over many years as a Holocaust survivor, so many of our viewers, I'm sure, have heard your story.
Yes.
But for those very, very few viewers who may not know who you are and may not have heard your story, you were born in Poland?
Yes. At the time that I was born, it was Poland. Now it's Ukraine.
Right. And what happened when 1939 came along and first the Germans invaded from the west and then the Russians invaded from the east? What happened to you and your family?
I had two parents, very smart, aggressive, clever, everything you want positive about them. They didn't understand what's doing in Germany because we were occupied by the Russians from 39 on when Germany went to war with Russia, divided Europe in half. I was under the Russian from 39 to 41. So he had time to prepare, but he didn't understand where to run. Not only that, there was no place to run. The whole world closed their doors and they took the keys and threw them in the water. So we had no place to run. And you needed money.
Your mother, your father, did you have siblings?
One sibling. We were a small family.
So you were a family of four.
That's it.
Living in southeastern Poland near the Ukrainian border.
The name of the city was Chodorov, near Lviv.
Right.
If you look, when they're fighting
Lviv is now in western Ukraine.
Correct.
Okay.
So we were there, and he didn't have where to run. But when the Germans came in 41, he realized, he said, we will not make it unless someone helps us. So I'm not going to go into details for the next 2 years because we don't have the time. If you want me, you can always find me.
Of course.
It's not important, but important is the way he foresaw. He was a lucky man because he was alert. He was well liked in the whole town, so he was always hoping someone would help him. And they did. When the first Aktia came, one of the guys came to him and said to my father, Moshe, it's going to be a big Aktia. You better find a hiding place. He had time. He had a warning. The Germans used language of deception. Even if you understood their deception, there was nothing you can do about it. When they told us they're going to all liquidate Chodorov ghetto and bring us to the Lviv ghetto, the remaining Jews after the Aktia, he comes home and tells my mom and says, I am not going because I don't believe them. I think they're just going to kill us outside of the city. So what are we going to do? He says, I'm looking for someone to hide us. And he did, and he found a woman, her name is Stephanie Struck. He took us and my aunt and uncle with two smaller children and my maternal grandmother, 9 people, in a barn. She took us in. We were there for 2 years. 2 full years. To tell you what happened in hiding is a very difficult place.
Nine people, including small children.
Right.
Hidden in a barn.
Four children, 4 years, 6 years. I was 8. My cousins were 4 years, 6 years. I was 8. My sister was 12. In a barn.
2 years.
2 years.
With Germans surrounding and looking for
Not
Jews?
only this, but the second year in hiding, she took the Germans, taking it into her house to live. We were in the first time
German soldiers were living in the house just a few feet away from the barn in which 9 Jews were hiding?
Correct. And we were when we came into hiding, we were in the ground floor. My father made the barn a little bit smaller, and money we didn't have to give her. She didn't do it for money because we didn't have, but he had material. He was a merchant, we had a store, so he had material. When the Russians came in, he hid his material, so that's all he had. So he gave her a sack full of material and said to her, go buy livestock, put it in the barn, so that will be your excuse to bring food to the barn. So she bought a pig and chicken, so we in one corner, and then we're in the next corner. But 3 months into our hiding place, we were standing, three of us, stretching ourselves, and the big barn door opens up. Stephanie's standing in the middle with the Ukrainian police looking in. She saw...
No, to be clear for our viewers, the Ukrainian police was collaborating with the Germans?
Oh, without them, the Germans could not have succeeded the job that they did.
Right.
No way. Germans didn't know who's Jewish. I don't look Jewish. I spoke a perfect Polish. No. The Ukrainians and the Poles were part of the scheme, and they were the one who helped the Germans big time.
On the other hand, the person who rescued you was Polish.
Right. But on the other hand, the woman is hiding us. A Ukrainian woman with 2 children hiding 9 people.
Oh, she was Ukrainian, not Polish.
She might have been Polish. This I don't remember.
Was she ever recognized by Yad Vashem?
Yes, she's in Yad Vashem. She and her son.
Extraordinary, extraordinary.
Her name was Stephanie, and her son's name was Tajik. He was 16 years old. No, let me just tell you, to me, this is amazing. When she opens up the big door, 3 people are standing. Inside is pitch dark. Outside is very, very sunny, and the pig and chicken start running towards the door. She sees us, she freezes. To me, then and now, she was the angel of front between us and the Ukraine police, because he looked and didn't see. He got distracted from the sun. My father used to say it's the sun that blinded him. I used to say her own body blinded him. It took minutes. It didn't take long. After a few minutes, she realizes what's going on. She closes the door and goes away. Comes back an hour later and says to us, we have to leave because she cannot keep us. She's afraid. Her kids don't know. So my father says, why? He would have picked, if he saw us, he would have picked us up now. He wouldn't wait for later. She said, no, I can't hide you, you have to go. We have to go, you have to go. So we decided to go to the forest. But I want to show you her character of this Ukrainian woman. I'm not sure if she was Polish or Ukrainian. She might have been, she was an intermarriage in what I remember. Either she was Polish or Ukrainian, but the husband was negative. The husband was a conductor of the train that drove all the soldiers out of Khodov, the Russian soldiers, deep into Russia. He never came back. But she was hoping that we might help her. That's what we figured. Anyway, she comes and tells us we have to go, but we have no place to go. So we're going to go to the forest. But Stephanie knew that we have no chance making it 9 people in the middle of the night to the forest. Somebody will see us walking. And she couldn't chase us. So she goes back to the Ukraine police and says to them, you know who I am, you know my parents, you know my sister. Sister had a bakery. She was a well-known woman in the neighborhood. She lived in the center of town, not a plain peasant. He says to her, Mrs. Struck, you bought livestock. My job is to register it. That's what I came for. She speaks again and again and again. He gives her the same answer. So she walks out of his house, realizing that he did not see us. And she doesn't have the heart to chase us because we were meant to survive. She comes back to us and she comes back home. She has a 19-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son, Tajik. She tells the children who he has in the barn for the last 3 months and what happened in the afternoon. And the 16-year-old son turns to mom and said, you can't chase him. They will never make it. I will help you. Maybe together we can save him. I will never forget.
A remarkable story, Toby.
Yes.
But to fast forward, and I'm sorry we have to leave out many of the details.
No, we don't. You don't need more
details. The Soviet
details.
army came, liberated
44.
in 1944. The war ended a year later.
45.
And your family came to the United States in 1949.
49.
Where were you from the end of the war?
Okay. When the war ended in 45, 31 Jews survived in Chodorov, all in hiding.
31 out of how many originally?
About 5,000.
31 out of 5. Less than 1% of the Jews of your town survived.
But nobody came back from the place that they say they're going to relocate him to.
So your father.
Exactly what I want to bring.
Your father saved you.
Yes, because he didn't believe them.
So were you in a displaced persons camp?
Yes, we were from 45 to 49. But I want to point one more thing. When war ended in 45, the Russians said to us, "Go," because later we will not be able to go. So we left. We came. There was right away people looking for survivors. I don't know where they came from, but they spoke in Hebrew, they spoke in Yiddish, not in any other, no Polish, no Ukraine, but Hebrew or Yiddish. Looking for survivors, picking us up, getting us out from every corner, bringing us to the DP camp. I was in Ebersberg from 1945 to 1949.
This is in Germany.
In Austria.
In Austria. So stop for just a moment, because I'm not sure that all our viewers understand that even after the Second World War, the few survivors, and in Toby's case, less than 1% of her town's Jewish population survived, still had nowhere to go.
No.
And they ended up in the perpetrator countries, Germany and Austria, in displaced persons camps.
In army barracks.
Because even then, the immigration policies.
There was none. Only Jewish agencies were there to help us and support us. The Hayas and the Joint.
Right. But they could not change immigration policies of the United States and Canada and Australia and Britain and other countries. So even after the war, survivors like Toby and her family spent as much as 4 years in a displaced persons camp waiting for a future.
Right.
Now I have to fast forward again, Toby, and I apologize.
No, don't apologize. No apology is necessary.
Because I'm not being fair to your extraordinary
It's fine.
story.
No, it's not necessary to go.
But
let's go forward. Yes, let's go forward.
I want to fast forward to October 7th of 2023, which has been described as the worst single atrocity against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Here you are, a Jew, a proud Jew, and a Holocaust survivor. How did you, with your history, react to October 7th?
Okay, I was in Israel 2 weeks before. I was in Israel for the Jewish holidays, for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I came home for Sukkot. When I got up in the morning, Saturday, it was Saturday, my son was in my house. They came to see me. I came, and he says, "Ma, don't put the TV on because it's." I said, "What happened?" "You don't want to see it." It was, I can't tell you. It was, my body froze when I put a TV on. I said, "Oh no, not again, I can't take it." I was hysterical. I was in a depression for weeks and weeks to come. Till finally I started talking and realizing, first of all, what hit me so hard, I knew there's anti-Semitism in the United States, big time. For the last 10 years, I smelled it, I felt it, I knew it, but it was covered. And all the marches and all the people telling me it's a lie, it's not sure, we are not sure, we need to see, and we're seeing it, and nobody's believing it. So the anti-Semitism came in the open. So I started saying to myself, right now, it's okay, it's coming out. I talk to myself to get better, to understand what's happening. Maybe when it's in the open, the world will understand. Maybe they'll be able to explain what's going on. Nothing happened. But the mayor came on TV and said, with some kind words, the
mayor of New York, Eric Adams.
Yes, and the governor too.
Kathy Hochul
came out with something positive, and I started relaxing, started talking to myself. I said, it's not the same. It's not the same because we have an army. And I started saying to myself, we have guns, we have a country, they're putting up a fight. It's not the same. I started talking positive to myself because that's the only way I know how to survive. And that's the only way I feel that we're going to survive. What happened last time taught us a lesson. I don't think...
Last time you mean during the Shoah?
Last Shoah. What happened in Shoah taught me and every Jew that without an Israel we have no chance of making it. So we have to support to Israel. So we have to give and we have to be there. But there are Jews that don't understand it, which bothers me terribly. I have an unusual hope. My glass is always half full. I don't have any hatred in me whatsoever. This is what my father instilled in me, to understand and not to hate. So once I come to the conclusion that I have to realize the positive, I'm watching, I'm learning, I'm giving charity, I'm listening, and I know it's going to come out okay. I just have to good vibes, because something what happened last time taught us a very good lesson that we can't allow it to happen again. So whatever the Israel is doing, I'm always with them.
It's really important, I think, for our viewers to understand that you lived in a world where there was no Israel.
Right.
There was no army.
Right.
There was no means of defense, as you said. The result was that you were trapped. Now you fast forward from 1939 to 2023, 2024, and your message is, there is an Israel.
Yes.
Again, tell our viewers more about why Israel should matter to them.
If you don't have an Israel, you're done.
As a Jew.
You're done as a Jew.
Why?
And even assimilated Jew is done.
Why can't Jews continue to live in Minneapolis or Miami?
Because the world doesn't understand the Jews, and somehow the Jews don't have the leadership, or they don't have the ability, or they know how to teach the world. My father taught me not to hate. When he was sitting in hiding, he says, if you hate, you will never be able to make a life if we're going to make it. He says, we're going to make it because somebody has to survive to tell the world. That's what he taught me. So I don't have any hate. So if I don't have hate, so I can live any place. But why does the world hate me so much? When I speak in schools, my main issue is not to hate. And if one child, not a child, an adult in Columbia Law School had asked me a few months ago only, what do you want from me? I said, I want you not to hate me. Why don't you find out why you hate me before you hate me? What did I do wrong? I feel if they understand who the Jew is, where he comes from, the history, maybe they won't hate so much. I hope. This is what I hope. This is what I'm trying to do. So I feel because we have an Israel, we have an army, and the Jews of the whole world should support that and try to teach the world who we are. We can't afford to go through another October 7 because it's way too painful. Way too painful.
Toby, I don't know how many times you've spoken in schools and other public settings, but it must be hundreds of times.
Thousands.
Even thousands of times.
Yes. I'm 14 years speaking.
Let me ask you a painful question. Do you sometimes feel that you failed?
Yes.
When you see this surge in anti-Semitism?
I feel all the time I feel.
Despite the friends, you mentioned Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams, you said there are friends.
Yes.
But do you sometimes feel they weren't listening?
Where are my friends?
They weren't listening.
I'm feeling, where are my friends? Where are the friends of Israel? And then I say, there are none. Then I say, there are none. You're on your own, Israel. Do what you have to do.
Do you really believe it?
I'm trying not to believe it.
You've lived in the United States, what now, 75 years.
The last 10 years I saw what's coming, the anti-Semitism. I saw it.
What were the signs you saw?
The president that came in, and I didn't vote for. I knew he will change the country, and the Jews will suffer, because I knew where it comes from.
So what do you think the strategy of Jews in America?
They have to be together.
Israel has an army. It will defend itself. But American Jews don't have an army.
But they're liberals. They don't understand it. You know, when some of the liberals will understand it, when their heads will be in the ovens, then they'll know who they are.
So what's the strategy that you would tell the Jewish world in America, in the diaspora?
Very good. That's a good question. Perfect. They should be together working and not be so liberal. I'm a liberal. I don't touch anybody. Everybody should have. I'm a liberal person. I don't take from anybody. I give. I'm a liberal person, but not their liberalism. First, think of yourself. Who is for you? Who else, if not you, is going to be for you? You have to worry for yourself. Then you worry. You be a liberal, but be together. Don't go Jews on the street and saying Gaza should be. I can't even speak. When I start speaking about the liberal Jews, I am lost. I can't take them. The Jews, if they're not together, they will suffer in
When
America.
you say liberal, you mean those on the left?
Those on the left.
To be clear, you're not talking about Reform Jews.
No. On the left, they go screaming on the street
against Israel.
Against Israel. I can't stand them.
So, is there more that if you were running a Jewish organization today, one of the big ones?
I would go to their.
What would your strategy be?
I would go to their places and try to tell them what they're doing is. Let's assume they don't want to be part of the crowd. Don't do it, but don't go again. Don't go with it. All the people will say, if the Jew can say against Israel, then definitely I can say it. Keep quiet. You don't like it, what's happening? Keep your mouth shut. Stay still. If you're not together, if the Jews fight between each other, we will suffer. The American Jews have to be clear. If you can't follow the rule, what you think is right, stay away, keep quiet, because you're only ruining it for the other Jews.
Toby, I know you were a young girl taking you back to Chodorov in Poland.
Okay.
But did you also see that division or hear about it from your parents later? Divisions among Jews that weakened the Jews?
My father always said, if the Jews fight between each other, they will lose.
So even then they were fighting?
I don't remember.
Perhaps in your home you heard your parents?
I don't remember any fightings in between Jews. But I do remember them sitting discussing how to make it. So the rabbi would say, try to save your life, because if you save one life, then we have a future. But I didn't remember that kind of friction, that kind of fighting as I see now.
But Toby, your answer to Hitler was you survived, your family survived, and
you didn't succeed. I'm here to tell.
And you have 5 grandchildren.
Right, that's my answer.
And 6 great-grandchildren.
That's my answer to Hitler, yes. And to all the world that want to eradicate the Jews. You can't. The Jews will always survive, because there's something about their way of survival, seeing it like my survival. How can I be so strong? I don't get it, but I am. Strong.
So when you look at your beautiful grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and you've said, I see the cup as half full, not half empty.
Right.
Do you see their future as Jews, optimistically today?
I worked very hard to make sure my kids grow up as Jews, full-time Jews and married Jews and continue Jews. But let's assume they didn't. But they would be at least good people and wouldn't go against Jews.
But they did. And now you have beautiful children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Are you afraid for their future? Or
I'm
are you
afraid,
hopeful, are you
I'm
hopeful
afraid
for their future?
in America, but I'm also hopeful. I'm hopeful that there
What gives you the hope?
The majority, if the majority holds together, they will come through.
The majority of
the Jews, the leaders in America.
What about other Americans?
I'm talking about American Jews now.
No, but I'm saying, what about non-Jews in America? Do you see them as allies?
Yes, there are some. Yes,
there are some allies.
There are many. There are many. I just feel it and I see it in whatever I read, whatever I watch, and I only read what I want.
Of course,
I don't read what I don't want to read. So there are many that are with us. There are many. We just have to reach them and talk in the open, not underneath the table. Open, discuss the issues open.
But again, and we only have just a short time left, and we just skimmed the surface of Toby Levy's life.
I know.
But what's your message to America about how to deal with anti-Semitism? Not just Jewish organizations, not just us, to American leaders, to mayors, to governors, to
leadership.
To presidents.
They're not to allow it. They have to stop it. Stop it before it starts. Stop it. Show that they don't accept it. Stop it. That's what the mayor went. That day that he went with that speech. I said, that there was hope.
Mayor Adams here in New York.
So, but not only say it. I said to myself, you have to act it too. Do you understand? The leader, you have to make sure who you vote for, and you vote for the people that are going to make sure that they know anti-Semitism has to be not allowed in the United States. The Jews have a right to live here in peace like everybody else. Can't talk against them. And it's up to the people when you go voting. Vote only what you have to make sure to read about a person, what they accomplished, not just talk about what they accomplished. That's how I vote.
So, without asking you who you vote for, because that's beyond this show.
Right.
Again, you are a survivor, an eyewitness to the greatest tragedy that befell.
2 tragedies, the one October now. Can you imagine twice in your lifetime to go through twice?
Last seconds, Toby.
Okay.
Tell our viewers, even if you repeat yourself, what is the life lesson for you about Israel and the Jewish people today?
Are you kidding me? They're rich today. They got a country. Don't give up. Stick together and fight for it. Don't allow it. In America and in Israel. Have a voice. You have a strong voice, intelligent, bright people, the Jews. Don't allow it. Make sure who you're voting for. Don't look just for yourself. Look out for the long run for the Jews. You have to look out what's good. I always voted what's good for Israel because I said to myself, if he's good for Israel, he'll be good for America, and I'm right in my decision. That's the way I voted. Get together and stay together and work together. I know it's worth it because there is a future here and in Israel, definitely. I am positive.
Toby, thank you.
I'm positive we're going to win in Gaza now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
JBS viewers, keep an eye on Toby Levy. I think she has a future as a politician.
No way. I'm done. I'm too old.
Don't be surprised if you see her announcing for running for some office. But I think you understand why I wanted Toby Levy to be on the show and to bring her very unique perspective. This is David Harris, defending Israel. See you next time.